That's okay. I'm in the bedroom.
All right, today.
So sad this year?
Ian, that was unnecessary. Sorry, folks. They know they're supposed to be quiet, or at least he knows he's supposed to be quiet. All right, let's start over again. Hi. Today is February 8th, 2015, and yes, the Broncos won, and so did the halftime show. Not Carolina like I thought, and not the commercials like I thought, although there were a couple funny ones. Anyway, we need to move now from the fact that the colonists were ready for revolution to what caused them to move into revolution. So now we're moving from the social environment into the events that lead to independence. Okay, so the title for today's lecture is The Events Leading to Independence. Today is February 8th, 2015. I've taken my information and any graphics or pictures, all that kind of stuff, from ushistory.org, our online textbook. I think I already said it was February 8th. You can put what class period it is that you're in, because I don't know. And it's presented by me, Mrs. Pines. You will go through the entire process of taking notes, collaborating, writing questions, and writing your answers, and then turning, no, that'll be homework. If you don't finish it, I'll pick it up on Tuesday. So Ms. Fogel doesn't have to collect that. Ms. Fogel can collect any corrections to the exam that you took last Friday in social studies. Please make sure you give that to her. Make sure your name is on it. Make sure that the questions and answers are numbered and written out. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the events that led to independence. First, things were not as they seemed. Quite frankly, in 1763, anyone going through the British colonies would have seen an atmosphere that actually seemed kind of calm, because the war was over, as in the 7 years, or as we know it also, the French and Indian War had ended, and it had ended quote unquote successfully. Yet 3 full years later, 13 years later, full-on revolution breaks out. Okay, so full-on revolution. Now, the colonies were prosperous, and at this point, King George III was actually a fairly benign ruler. Remember, salutary neglect was a great thing. He seemed calm and easygoing. He wasn't really enforcing anything on the colonies, so it all seemed good. In fact, in 1754, when the 7 Years' or French and Indian War broke out, Ben Franklin got together a group of the head honchos, the really important people from the colonies, at a convention called and wrote the Albany Plan of Union. That Albany Plan of Union was supposed to unify the colonies so that they could get together to fight the French. But his plan didn't work. People didn't feel the need to be completely united yet. So even in the face of war against the French, at this point, the colonies did not feel like they needed to break from England, and they certainly didn't feel like they needed to gather together as one unified group at this point, even though Ben Franklin wanted them to. Okay. The Albany Plan of Union, by the way, is important, knowing that that was an original document that tried to get the colonies together. So let's talk about that Albany Plan of Union just a little bit. Ben Franklin really believed, if you look at the graphic, you'll see it says join or die. It's a cartoon, actually, that does become a flag later. But when Ben Franklin originally publishes this cartoon, what it is it's a snake divided into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces. And the initials of each of the major colonies is on the snake. So you have from the tail, South Carolina, to the next part, North Carolina, to the middle where the loop is, Virginia, not Vermont, Virginia. Going up to the middle there, Massachusetts, coming around, I can't tell what that letter is, so I'll come back to that in a minute. Going down to New Jersey, going up to New York, and then coming across to New England. Maryland? I'll have to find out. I'm not sure. I can't read it. But nonetheless, and in fact, it's not even important to necessarily get that all down. What's important to get down is the concept that Ben Franklin seriously wanted New England, New York, New Jersey. Can't read it. I would think Pennsylvania would be one of them, but I can't tell if that's P or not. I don't think it is. Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina to gather together. And in fact, so much so that it's, if you don't join us, we'll die. Okay. So he gathers all these people together with the idea of this becoming a defensive organization, not even a government, just an organization gathering to create a military, a unified defense. And he gets voted down because it's not seen as necessary. They already belong to Great Britain. England, across the ocean, is already their leader. So it doesn't fly at this point. All right. Remember, Ben Franklin is one of our great thinkers, but at this point, he doesn't get his point across to everybody. So we move on, and it's like, so what caused the colonies to unite? Well, remember, the colonists were English citizens. Even if they had never even been on the English continent across the Atlantic Ocean, they still considered England their mother country. Okay, they were patriotic at this point to England. Well, many of them were. So what happened between 1763 and 1766? Well, Mrs. Pines. What happened between 1763 and 1776? The colonists, Ian says taxes, and he's actually correct without even reading it, that's the very first point, as you can see. They felt unfairly taxed, which led to much economic discussion and complaints. Further, they also felt micromanaged by the royal government, which caused much political discussion and complaints. Furthermore, they felt ignored about those complaints. And when you feel ignored, you start to do something. So, that so didn't work very well, but it doesn't matter. On the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, though, where you've got your complaints over here, just like a family, well, guess what? Mom has her complaints too. And one of Mom's complaints is that, at the Great Britain being the mom, remember, and it's really can be confusing, but you have to get this idea down, that Great Britain, England, the royal government, Parliament, King George are all the same thing. Okay? And they're all the same thing, located across the Atlantic Ocean. They were irritated that the colonists didn't want to pay their fair share of taxes for wars of the empire, especially the 7 Years' War, which happened on, not only did it happen on American soil, but it started on American soil, and it was fought to protect the British from the French and Indians, the British colonists from the French and Indian. And so the English people across the ocean felt like the colonists were basically whiny little brats who didn't want to do their fair share. Okay? So the reality is the cultural and social divide between the colonists in the U.S. and the British in England had grown as wide as the Atlantic itself, and therefore revolution is coming. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the Stamp Act. And so we're going to start moving into the events that caused the Revolutionary War, not just that we're ready for it, but what actually led to it. All right, go ahead, collaborate, make sure you use a different color ink and that you check mark what you have that's the same. Write your questions and write your answers. I will be giving you a short little quiz tomorrow on the 9th. So let's make sure we're ready. See you then.